Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So there is a bit of panic in the markets right now and probably for the right reasons. Three very important pieces of news. News number one is that Mr. Warren Buffett has sold 50% of his position on Apple stock. Now you'll say, yaar, मैं तो रोज ही खरीदता बेचता रहता हूँ stock. So Warren Buffett selling one stock, what big deal is that? The big deal is that Mr. Warren Buffett, majority of his portfolio is made up of 4 stocks, right? And the most prominent one is Apple. He has roughly $160 billion of stock and उन्होंने आधा बेच दिया. So 50% is done. This is very big piece of news. Number two, Nasdaq in one single day fell by 2.5%. Now this is a very, very big fall for the index. Number three piece of news कि अगर आप थोड़ा सा time span horizon increase करो and देखो that for the last 1 month, some big tech stocks, for example, Microsoft here, it has fallen by roughly 13%. Now this is little bit worrisome sign. You have to understand why this is happening and accordingly set your market expectations realistically. So एक एक करके चलते हैं and I'll explain you the macroeconomics also. In case you are new to my channel, my name is Akshat Shrivastava. I am a full-time investor. I run a hedge fund now. This gives me an opportunity to speak with a series of different styles of investors. And by aggregating that knowledge, I try to bring it through my YouTube channel. So I will explain some of the points that I am practically observing. So okay, let's begin. And also a very quick note that there are a lot of concerns that are being raised regarding recession. कि recession आने वाला है, recession आने वाला है. So I'm going to speak about that also and to what extent market can fall. Now देखो, like the recession and all is a part and parcel of investing, and if you are a good investor, then even these recessionary concerns are not going to impact you. In a very similar way, you have to future-proof your career by upskilling yourself and learning relevant skills. Now, these days, one of the most important skills to learn is how to use artificial intelligence, which brings us to the partners of today's video. It is Growth School. It is a wonderful platform to learn about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and by taking this, they are organizing Asia's biggest artificial intelligence online masterclass. It happens at 7 p.m. So you can definitely go and check out the links in description and comment box for more information. Now, usually this masterclass is paid, but for the first 1000 users, this masterclass will be free. You just have to use my link in order to sign up. This masterclass will help you in becoming top 1% learners by understanding unique job search strategies by using artificial intelligence. You will learn salary hike strategies, solve bigger and complex data in few minutes with AI, and even personal branding and business strategies. This workshop is for everyone, whether you are from a freelancing, finance, investing background, HR background, or operations. So you can get your free seat for the 7 p.m. slot. Please check the links in the description box. And now I'll move over to the main video. So okay, so point one is that why is this happening? That suddenly, all of a sudden, the market has been spooked. Is it due to bad employment data? For example, US का unemployment data निकल के आया and you will see that US unemployment rate ticks up to 4.3% amid signs of broader economic slowdown. बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेट कर दिया उन्होंने, लेकिन नो वन इज टेलिंग यू व्हाई दिस इज हैपनिंग. ओके, सो द रियल रीजन व्हाई दिस इज हैपनिंग इज ड्यू टू जापान. सो इन ऑर्डर टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस, देयर यूज्ड टू बी एन इंटरेस्ट रेट आर्बिट्राज इन जापान एंड दिस इज अ वेरी गुड मैक्रो पॉइंट दैट यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो अभी तक क्या था कि जापान एज एन इकोनॉमी, व्हाट इट यूज्ड टू डू वाज दैट इट यूज्ड टू कीप इट्स इंटरेस्ट रेट्स वेरी लो, राइट. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अब आप ऐसे मान के चलो दैट इफ इन इंडिया द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आर 0%, hypothetically, will you borrow money? The short answer is yes. You will borrow money and a lot of it, and you will buy a lot of stuff with it. So in Japan, almost for a decade and a half, the Bank of Japan held the interest rate close to 0. Now suddenly last week they increased this to 0.25%. Now what this has done is that this has killed the interest rate arbitrage, because a lot of people or a lot of investors were borrowing at a very low rate in Japan, and they used to have that in yen, right? And then they used to transfer it and invest across assets in the world, right? And a large chunk of it used to go to US stocks. तो अभी क्या हुआ? तो Bank of Japan has changed this to 0.25%. So this borrowing cost has gone up, and as a result, ये interest rate arbitrage has come down a little bit, and as a result, this has led to a little bit of market panic. So this is the reason why the market is correcting. अब आपको दुनिया भर की explanation दे दी है कि economy slow down हो गई, भाई कल ही हुई economy slow down. It's not as if that yesterday only economy has slowed down. Economy has been in a slowdown for a while now. Europe problem has been going on for a while now. Russia-Ukraine war is still going, believe it or not, right? Israel-Iran war is going on and whatnot. So to cut the long story short, all the problems that were existing in the world, suddenly people have started talking about it without bringing this interest arbitrage thing into the mix. Okay, so this is what the major critical change has been, and it has spooked the markets. So this is the core explanation. Now let us go point by point as to what moves Mr. Warren Buffett is making. तो उसके लिए पहले Warren Buffett जी का portfolio देख लेते हैं. This is something that I had explained earlier also, but now we will systematically understand it because this change has recently happened. In fact, ये आपको दिखेगा भी नहीं. This is the complete portfolio of Mr. Warren Buffett. And isme you will see that he had started cutting his position in the last quarter itself. And now news comes out that Mr. Warren Buffett has sold up to 50% of this Apple stock. Okay. So abhi, I don't know when this filing will be done exactly, on which specific date. Then on this, you will see portfolio updates. So he has exited his position, and because he has sold his Apple stock, now what is he doing with that money? Has he reinvested it? So it looks like no, that he has not reinvested it. He's simply sitting on cash. So he's sitting on a lot of cash. अब एक तरीके से पोर्टफोलियो एनालिसिस कर लेते हैं, एंड लेट मी शो यू दिस पार्ट हियर. सो फॉर एग्जांपल हियर यू विल सी दैट ही इज सिटिंग ऑन $331 billion, राइट. दिस वाज बिफोर द एप्पल सेल, राइट. एंड इसमें आप $70 billion और डाल दो, राइट, $70 billion. So, and assuming that he has not reinvested, and he was earlier sitting on roughly $30 billion of cash. So he is roughly sitting on $100 billion of cash, right, which he will deploy subsequently. So what does that indicate? What is he waiting for? He is waiting for Nasdaq to fall or like the US market to fall, and he will be patiently waiting. Last time भी इन्ने किया था, right, roughly in like 2021, right, में he was sitting on a lot of cash positions. And then what happened? Then the market continued to rise, right, and he missed that rally, right, and फिर उनके investors बहुत पीछे पड़ गए कि वॉरेन बफेट जी आपको investing नहीं आती, this that stuff and दुनिया भर की चीज़ें, right. So then he eventually built up positions. What I'm trying to tell you is that Mr. Warren Buffett was smart then, right, and yet he was wrong. He could not time the market perfectly. No one can. And eventually it turned out that he was right. So when the market started correcting from 2022-ish onwards or 2021 end onwards, he deployed that cash and he was able to make money. So आप ये देख भी सकते हो कि यहाँ से उन्होंने increase कर दी थी अपनी position, right? Then he decreased it, then he increased it, then he decreased it. अभी उन्होंने decrease कर दी होगी करीब यहाँ पे, and now he will eventually increase it, right? Whenever the time comes. So I hope that this point is clear. This is very important point, which brings us to a next important point to discuss, that what will happen in the market. कितना नीचे गिर जाएगा Nasdaq, right? And what is the move that we should make? So okay, so I will quickly take you to Nasdaq. So okay, so let me just highlight it and then I'll tell you what is the expected fall. So यहाँ पे गिर गया, it has breached its support, right? So this has been breached. The next major support comes somewhere around here, right? And after that, the next major support will be somewhere around here, right? So this is support 2. This will be support 3, right? Now comes a very natural response कि यार ये अच्छा कितना नीचे गिर सकता है, right, from this point, right? So यहाँ से यहाँ तक देखोगे तो this is like a 2.5% fall. Okay, so this is very very likely to happen from this stage. After that, अगर आप यहाँ से देखना शुरू करो, right, कि यहाँ तक गिर सकता है, तो यहाँ तक भी गिर सकता है because this is just 9.5% fall. So there is a very good chance that Nasdaq can correct by roughly 10% from this point. Then comes the next natural question कि अच्छा 10% correction on index. Now should we wait or should we continue to invest? See, वो आपने खुद analysis करना है. Again, going back to Mr. Warren Buffett's portfolio, again this is a very important point to learn, that he is still sitting on how much? Roughly like $250 billion in the market, right? अभी तो इतना investment है ही उनका, and he has kept $100 billion in cash roughly. Okay, so what is he doing? He's almost like what? Like 250 plus 100, right? So almost like 1/3 cash he's sitting. Okay, so this is what he is doing. Now, what he has not done, it's not as if that he's pulling out his entire investment out from the market just because की market गिर सकता है वाली चीज़. Okay, so this is an important lesson for us that hey, if we have like let's say 1 crore portfolio, hypothetically speaking, then having like maybe 20% cash position makes a lot of sense. This is what I have been precisely coaching my investment community also for the last 2-3 months कि भाई मत करो, थोड़ी सी cash positions बना लेना. There are good opportunities that are coming, and it looks like that these opportunities will come now. So you can go and speak with my member community students also. They will all vouch for this fact because things looked a little bit heated up, right? So this is first central point that anyone should have done. अगर आपने नहीं किया है, then you should have some kind of a hedging strategy at play. What I was teaching you was a cash hedging strategy. This is fairly easy to follow and quite intuitive. Now, what about Indian markets? Can they also fall? So there is a good chance. Now I am making this video on Sunday, so हो सकता है Monday को खुलते ही गिर भी गया हो. I'm not sure, but this is something that I explained earlier, so I'll not waste a lot of time. देखो 3.5% का fall तो definitely बनता है from this point. There is a very good chance that there could be an 8% fall also. At this 8% fall is where your bulk buying opportunity lies. तब आपको स्टॉक पकड़ने होते हैं, right? And that is the money making game. Because आप ऐसे मान के चलो कि if the market falls from 100 to 90, this is a 10% correction, right? Now if it goes from 90 to 100, what is the gain that you will have? You will have roughly 11.11% gain, okay? Because नीचे से जब ऊपर बढ़ा तो base becomes this, okay? So it's very very important to have money to buy things here. This is what smart investors are doing and this is what cash hedging strategy is. So now comes the next point कि यार अच्छा है यार US के market में then is there a point also to invest? Because I'm looking at Microsoft. So Microsoft का stock पकड़ते हैं and I'll show you that in the last 6 months it has not done much. In the last 1 year it has given 25% run up. So एक साल में तो अच्छा run up था on Microsoft stock, right? And अगर आप इसकी 5-year performance देख लो, so then the stock has gone up from 245 in December up to now. So this is now in a correction mode, okay? So individual stocks अगर आप पकड़ रहे हो तो then it is very very important not to rush to buy. You should buy at sensible levels. तो एक natural सवाल आता है कि अच्छा what are the sensible levels? देखो that depends on market development, right? This is an important point, right? You must understand where the market is going. Number 2, you must understand how to build positions, right? Build positions. ऐसा नहीं कि आपको गिरा हुआ दिखा stock, then you go and invest, घर बार बेच दिया and you know all the money is in that stock. No, so that is not the way to build or do any kind of investing. So you have to build positions. Which stocks to buy, which stocks to hedge Microsoft with. I am personally putting a lot of money in the US markets right now. My goal is to go from like let's say अभी मेरा split होता है 80% Indian market, 20% US market. Over time, over the next 1 to 2 years, I would be like almost 50-50, right? 50% Indian stocks, 50% US stocks. Why? Because international hedging is really critical now. This is something that I teach on Wisdom Hatch NRI community. In case you guys are interested, in case you want to understand how international investing works, which global markets you can explore, I will teach you all that stuff through my personal experiences. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं इंडिया में बैठा हुआ और बातें कर रहा हूँ random. I do travel quite a lot. I get to speak with a lot of investors. अभी भी मैं दुबई में हूँ. I keep on spending a lot of time across Southeast Asia. I studied the Malaysian market. I will study the European market. So जो भी अच्छी investment opportunities हो रही हैं, I'll try to explain it through NRI Wisdom Hatch community. Link is in the description box in case you guys are interested. So anyways, explaining you the next point. This has to do with the recession concerns. अभी आप न्यूज़ देखोगे तो आपको डरा देंगे कि अच्छा यार रिसेशन आने वाला है, रिसेशन आने वाला है एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ. एंड उसका दिया गया जाता है रीज़न. उसका रीज़न ये दिया जाता है कि अच्छा यील्ड कर्व इन्वर्जन होने वाला है. यील्ड कर्व इन्वर्जन ये रहा, ओके. सो यील्ड कर्व इन्वर्जन का मतलब ये होता है द स्प्रेड बिटवीन 10 ईयर एंड 1 ईयर रिस्क फ्री बॉन्ड्स हैज़ बिकम नेगेटिव. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ सिंपल भाषा में? देखो व्हेन यू डू FDs फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म, व्हाट डू यू एक्सपेक्ट? यू एक्सपेक्ट यार अच्छा तगड़ा रिटर्न मिले, 8% मिले, ओके. एंड शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए करते हो तो व्हाट डज द बैंक से? बैंक से यार देखो 8 तो नहीं दे पाएंगे, 6 दे देंगे, ओके. वाई? बिकॉज शॉर्ट टर्म के लिए they will give you less, long term के लिए they will give you more. But when this equation changes, that for the short term they start giving you more returns compared to long term, that is called as yield curve inversion in very simple language. This is an anomaly, ऐसा होना नहीं चाहिए, but हो गया, right? So for example here, if you take a look, this is where it indicates, okay? And whenever this happens, there is a recession that comes, okay? Because this is not a healthy sign for economy. Broadly speaking, this indicates that there is some funky stuff going on in economy. This is the overarching explanation. बहुत complicated सी चीज़ होती है, but I have tried to simplify and explain it to you. Now, अब recession का मतलब होता है कि देखो, once there are 2 successive quarter 1, quarter 2, 3 महीने का quarter होता है. Once there is negative growth और negative GDP growth, right? So for example, जैसे इंडिया का growth rate मान लो 8% है, okay? अभी बट देन नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर का डेटा आया, इट बिकम 7, सो दिस इज कॉन्ट्रैक्शन ऑफ जीडीपी. देन उसके बाद आया तो इट गोज टू 6, सो दिस इज डिक्लाइन ऑफ जीडीपी, राइट. सो 2 सक्सेसिव क्वार्टर्स ऑफ डिक्लाइन ऑफ जीडीपी इज कॉल्ड एज रिसेशन, राइट. दिस इज अ लैगिंग इंडिकेटर कि जब ग्रोथ रेट कम हो जाएगा उसके बाद अनाउंसमेंट विल बी मेड कि भाई ओके रिसेशन आ चुका है. दिस हैज गॉट नथिंग टू डू विद द स्टॉक मार्केट. सो डोंट कन्फ्यूज रिसेशन अनाउंसमेंट कि खराब इकोनॉमी चल रही है, खराब इकोनॉमी चल रही है. with where the stock market will go from here. In fact, when you buy when there are recessionary concerns, that is probably the best time. Okay, which brings me to the final point of the video कि अभी होने क्या वाला है most likely, and this is my prognosis. Of course, I can be wrong, but I'll still give you my verdict on this entire thing, how you need to process it. So there are 3-4 key points. Okay, the first key point is that in the short term, the stock markets are likely to correct, and a 10% correction is very likely. Okay, especially on the US market, and India में भी ये दिख रहा है 6-7% very likely scenario, right, where the correction can come. In India, this correction is likely to come in small cap, mid cap, so उसको आप ठीक ठाक से कर लेना, keep some capital so that you can downward average. Okay, this is very important point. Point number 3 is that interest rate cut announcements are already underway. The US Fed has said categorically that in September they are going to cut the interest rate, which means what? That quantitative easing हो गई एक तरीके से, and because this is being done, the stock market should ideally rally. But the problem is that there is something called as factoring in of news. Now everyone knows this, right? कि अच्छा ये तो होना ही होना है. तो अब now the market will not go up because of this. The market will go up because there might be a second interest rate cut which might be a surprise for the market. तो तब आएगी rally. Okay, so what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that hey, it's very likely that अगले 3 months we are in a correction mode. Okay, very good opportunity to aggregate stocks in this zone, right, and deploy your cash. उसके बाद whenever the second interest rate cut, which is what good to be a surprise कि यार उन्हें एक्सपेक्ट करा होगा कि मार्केट इंटरेस्ट रेट कट होगा 0.25 से, बट वो हो गया 0.5 से. ओके, सो दिस इज अ सरप्राइज, पॉजिटिव सरप्राइज. तो ऐसा कुछ होने की संभावना है, राइट, एंड दैट इज व्हेन द मार्केट्स विल स्टार्ट रैलिंग. उस टाइम पे टेक स्टॉक्स आर लाइकली टू डू वेरी वेल. नाउ आई एम ऑलरेडी स्टडीइंग द स्टॉक्स दैट आई एम गोइंग टू इंडिविजुअली पिक अप. आई एम गोइंग टू हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड द इन्वेस्टमेंट थीसिस बिहाइंड इट ऑल्सो. सो इन केस यू वांट टू बी अ मेंबर, यू कैन डेफिनेटली गो एंड चेक आउट माई लिंक इन द कॉमेंट एंड डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स. दैट विल हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड मोर. वहाँ पे मैं इंडिविजुअल स्टॉक कॉमेंट्री भी दे दूंगा, नॉट फ्रॉम अ बाइंग सेलिंग point of view, but more from an education point of view, जिससे कि आप समझ सको कि what are like good additions that you can make to your portfolio, especially if you are doing this international investing. Now, final point, people are predicting that there is a mega crash that is happening. There will be a 30% correction, 40% correction. I don't think so, that is likely to happen. 10 to 15% correction is very much on the cards at this point in time. Anything above 20% correction is considered as the start of a bear run. Now, those type of events typically happen when there is uncertainty, right? And we do not know what is going to happen, and suddenly कुछ हो जाता है. COVID type या 2008 crisis type, those were unexpected events. अभी जितनी भी न्यूज़ आ रही है, all that is expected. It's not as if ठीक है surprise हो गया कि जापान, बैंक ऑफ जापान की साइड से they have increased the interest rate, but due to policy actions, markets do not typically go down by like 20-30% in a single day unless it's like a horrific policy action, so to say. Okay. So therefore, pulling out money from the market does not make much sense कि यार अभी मेरे 1 crore पड़े हुए हैं मार्केट में, I am going to pull out everything, wait for the market to go down by 10-15% and then I'll deploy cash with Mr. Warren Buffett. सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है, बट यू कैन नॉट टिपिकली डू इट. यू कैन नॉट टाइम द बॉटम एंड द टॉप ऑफ द मार्केट. नेट आप एनालिसिस कर सकते हो. देयरफॉर इट्स वेरी क्रिटिकल नॉट टू स्टे इन्वेस्टेड इन ओवर वैल्यूड स्टॉक्स राइट नाउ. आई हैव बीन सेइंग इट फॉर द लास्ट 2-3 months बहुत कैटेगोरिकली दैट डोंट होल्ड वेरी एक्सपेंसिव वैल्यूएशन टाइप ऑफ कंपनीज. अगर आपकी वैल्यूएशन ठीक पकड़ रखा है आपने तो नॉट एन इशू. आई हैव ऑल्सो सोल्ड 70-80% ऑफ माई होल्डिंग ऑन Zomato now. Why? Because I felt that the stock was expensive. Again, I had explained my entire thesis why I had done that on my member community. So all these knowledge oriented points you must pick right now. Great time to build portfolio, especially now क्योंकि थोड़ा सा correction जब आएगा, that is when you should be buying things. जब आपको मिल जाए market 10-15% down from its peak, that's a wonderful time to pick high quality stocks. Stay invested in it and then wait for returns. I hope you enjoyed this commentary. If you did, do press the like button and I'll see you soon.